doing a show on a thing that never happened. That's my concern.
That's exactly right. Okay, good morning, everybody. Hey, Be Controversial's got first blood this morning. Good morning, sunshine. B dropped the sleepy emoji there. I guess he's still dozing in the dorms.
Dorms? What is he, Air Force?
Because the Chair Force doesn't have barracks.
That's true.
Speaking of Chair Force, this morning we have got a story to share. And it would indeed be the Chair Force that would be... No, actually, nope, that'd be an Army plane. So, guys, this... oh my God. They've done it. They've done it again. Mario, what are the craziest... What is the difference between a right-wing conspiracy theory and a left-wing conspiracy theory?
A right-wing conspiracy theory is based on some type of truth. Perhaps the attribution of blame may be inaccurate, though. A left-wing conspiracy theory is basically schizophrenic nonsense, okay? With minimum exception.
Basically, what happens is a piece of evidence exists that is difficult to understand outside of context, and a conservative will take that piece of evidence and examine it. They'll contemplate what it means, seek other evidence that might suggest that it ties to something of interest, and you end up with theories like, the craziest shit that is obviously not true, that could never have possibly have been the case, like MK Ultra, for example, which totally verified. The only place where there's anything with MK Ultra is there are some places that it kind of veered off into the extreme, but by and large, MK Ultra was in fact a program. It did happen, and by the wide margin, when you have a conservative conspiracy theory, the evidence eventually bears it out, even if it takes decades for classified material to be released that proves it. A conservative conspiracy theory is essentially just a prediction. Whereas with a left-wing conspiracy theory, you begin with, I want to smear someone's reputation, and now I'm going to go and find evidence that can be manipulated to make a complex and bizarre claim.
The other thing about right-wing conspiracy theory is many times you'll get well poisoners. Okay, so
yes,
you get, for
like
example,
QAnon.
Yeah, QAnon is a great example. Like Pizzagate, real. Okay, human trafficking, okay, at an industrial scale, real. All right. Is there a secret cabal of patriots in charge who are going to basically flip the table and turn the government upside down, and everyone's going to receive maximum justice? No. Okay. So another one is, for example, let's take all of the topics that we have done a deep dive on. Okay, and then if we did a show where we're trying to sell the concept of flat Earth theory, that would be well poisoning. Okay, so you've discredited everything we talked about that was true by forcing a meme, okay, of a conspiracy that is not true. Okay, for example.
And to be clear, you mean if we were to do a show where we were supporting with so-called evidence the idea that the Earth was flat, rather than, we could discuss the flat Earth theory. We could do a show on that and go and deep dive on, look, there are people who believe this. Here's the evidence that they present, and we can debunk that. But if we were to sit here and say the Earth is flat and we can prove it,
yeah, it'd be like we said.
You would have to take everything else we've said and assume that it was false.
Yeah, if we did a show where basically we spent an entire hour going over like very contrived, very specific geometry, okay, that would suggest that the Earth is flat without talking about basically the actual geometry of the Earth outside of this basically carefully crafted theory, then yeah, we would be disinformation agents.
Yeah, for clarification, I have done work in science that is not. It's not that doing the work you learn that the Earth is not flat. You learn that the Earth is round. I have done work in science, like when we did the large language model neuronet program to identify and categorize galactic photography. I'm talking about science where if the Earth were flat, it would not be possible to do the science, right? So, by contrast, with left wing, with the leftists and their conspiracy theories, there is no well poisoning because their psychotic ramblings are so ungrounded, so baseless, that you cannot come back with something that's even more psychotic and debunk their conspiracy theories by showing that these people also believe something else crazy, right? Like, a very vanilla example would be the Russiagate scandal, right? That's one where all the lefties bought in. They were completely bought in on the Russiagate scandal. They believed it hard. They believed it desperately. And we now know, as we suspected at the time, but we now know conclusively, was absolutely a fabrication of the left. They created the conspiracy theory, right? They decided this is what we want people to believe. And then they manufactured evidence to support the claim. And we know that to have been a planned operation, right? Like, it is not a conspiracy theory that the Clinton campaign and the DNC conspired to defraud the American people through manufacturing the Russiagate scandal.
Well, leftist logic is quite simple, okay? It's we're the good guys. It's in our name. We are the progressives. Progress is good. So if you do not support us or you stand in the way of that, then you are logically the bad guy, okay?
Yeah.
Because we are the good guy. It's what is so difficult to understand here? You fucking magatard, you magat, you.
Yeah, and funny thing about progress, if you are parked on a hill, perhaps it's been raining and that hill is, shall we say, a slippery slope of sorts, and your emergency brake has gone out. That too is technically progress. You're moving forward.
Yeah.
So here's the new theory. Let's take a look at this. I've pulled up several clips on this. It's, guys, they believe this.
Guys, they're throwing the deportees out of the planes and into the ocean. No, this is not real. No, this is not fear-mongering. They're shackling people, flying out into open ocean and throwing them out. Okay?
It's fucking awesome.
Okay, I was about to say, first things first. I endorse this. Pinochet did nothing wrong.
If Trump was 1/10 as evil as the left proclaims him to be, this would be a far more successful presidency.
Yes. I mean, I'm down.
What is Trump's like? Yeah, we're going to give you cement shoes. See,
and okay. Obviously, we're laughing, we're cutting up, we're joking a little bit about this, but you know what? Let me tell you this.
Yes, Mike. Yes, St. Michael of Cigarillo. They're basically saying helicopter rides.
Yeah,
absolutely based.
If helicopter rides were the answer that Trump proposed to illegal immigration, that would be the end of illegal immigration.
Yeah.
Right? This is the kind of thing that you don't even have to do it. You just have to threaten it. Or maybe do it once. And buddy, self-deportation becomes a reality. But these people believe, and you'll see this is, somebody shared the video. You see there's 300,000 views on this video. But this is one that was shared from TikTok where it got millions of views, right?
The flight patterns, there's people trying.
Go ahead.
Oh God! They're doing Sky King General now. The left, where they're analyzing the flight patterns.
Uh-huh.
That's perfect. Hey, I didn't. I heard about this in passing yesterday. This throwing them out of airplanes or dumping them in the ocean thing, and I know that Tim Pool did a show on this last night, but I didn't watch it. Okay. Is there a source of this claim? Like, where did this come from, or is this just out of the ether?
It looks like it's very much just out of the ether. There's about a dozen or so different common TikTokers, I guess, that are making the claim. And several of them, they keep saying, we've got flight logs, we've got tracking data. Like, okay, no, you don't. You don't. What you might have is flight logs that show a flight going from point A to point B. But you don't have any information that shows...
Which is publicly available. Knowledge.
Right. It's not like you have video of people being thrown out. Now, one claim they're making is that there was a flight into... there was a flight of illegals that was scheduled for South Sudan, and it left the U.S. to go to South Sudan with a belly full of illegal aliens who were being deported to South Sudan as a third party because their home countries like Venezuela refused to take them back. And by the way, that I'll come back to that in a minute, but that's a major problem that we're having with deportation right now is original countries are refusing to accept their citizens back who are being deported. That's what what is the name of the prison in the big prison in El Salvador?
CCOT.
That's what CCOT's all about, and that's why we need Alligator Alcatraz, which just opened yesterday, or day before yesterday. No, it was that's what we did yesterday. It opened yesterday, but anyway. So the closest thing they've got to credible evidence is there was a flight that landed that was supposed to be for South Sudan, full of illegal immigrants, and the story is that the South Sudanese said that the flight never arrived, and then the plane came back and landed in America without any immigrants on it, right? And then there's a completely separate story of 5 people washing up on the shore in Spain, drowned, shackled, just randomly. Do what?
That's a normal. Dead Africans washing up on the shore is a daily occurrence in Spain. That is
yes.
That is not an anomaly.
Correct. In fact, that's a dead Africans and Latinos, South Americans, Mexicans, etc., washing up on shore, and Asians. It happens in California often. That is from human trafficking. They load people onto container ships, and then they'll dump them off in the middle of the ocean for anything like not, okay, this guy didn't bring enough cash to pay his bill, anything like that. The human traffickers will just dump them, or hey, we've raped this one enough, we're done with her, dump her over the side. We don't want her to talk about what happened to her, stuff like that. And then so that's the human trafficking angle. But then even more, this is a slightly older video, but they come across in boats, right? They'll try to cross and get in boats. You see the boat just landed on the shore over there, right? Yeah. And then here's another one. This is how they come in. This is how they get here often. This is in California.
Literal invasion. Literal hostile.
They get their little speedboat. They just beach it and abandon.
Ooh, man, that's not good for the hull.
Yeah, no, that boat's ruined.
Why would
Yeah, it's a clown car.
Why would you waste that boat? It's stolen. That's why.
Yeah,
because it's how many can you pack in there? They must be packed in there like
they're
slave
still
vessels,
coming out.
Slave vessels where they're like nut to butt, like locked up like this in the hull. It must be like.
Yeah. So that's one of the ways that this happens.
Crazy,
and like we said, it's not like this is something that doesn't happen, right? But let's take a look at another video. Here's another one making a claim.
Spreadsheet out of it. I made one day.
Oh God, communist guys.
The pattern that I had to stop. So I want to show y'all the spreadsheet that I made. And like I said, I want to share the screenshots later, but there's
just another spiteful mutant with the neck tattoos and the piercing and
wild-eyed communist.
of them.
Wild-eyed communist.
And it's always the eyes. Look at the eyes.
Yeah. Yep. Windows to the soul, man.
I mean, just they're are they literally insane?
She looks like a prey
Yes,
animal.
in fact, yes. Is it any wonder liberals are having a mental health crisis? This is from the New York Post from literally a month ago, from June 3rd. Liberals are more than twice as likely to say they have poor mental health, while conservatives are more than twice as likely to say their mental well-being is excellent. Y'all, we're both combat veterans. My mental well-being is excellent. I am a happy dude, right? And I'm very conservative. There is another linkage here. It is not so much that being left-wing drives you crazy. It's that being mentally deficient drives you to buy into left-wing arguments. The left-wing argument is always base, simplistic, incoherent, and emotional.
Yeah.
So the more mentally unstable one is, the more likely they are to drift to the left. Right?
Yeah, the reason you know how I know that my mental health is stable? Because I don't think about my mental health. Because I don't think about it. Sometimes I'm angry. Sometimes I'm happy. I have the full spectrum of human emotion, which is what my brain is supposed to do. I'm fine.
Yeah. I'm just generally happy. I mean, working in the yard, going out and making money.
You got a tractor.
Mowing down terrorists with a machine gun. I'm just generally happy, and then every now and then I'll cry at a sad movie.
You have a tractor though. Having a tractor is like plus 10 happy for a standard human white build. Okay.
Yeah, if you own property, a tractor, and an AR, I mean your security situation is rock solid. You are standing on top of Maslow's pyramid and looking down upon the plebs. It's a good place to live.
Is it possible for you to sit in the seat of your tractor and have been moving around with that thing, and to not feel a general sense of content? I have a large piece of machinery, and I'm in charge of it. This is an extension of my body. This makes me even more powerful. I'm powerful. I'm happy.
I think I said this. I think I said this on the show the other day when you weren't here, Mario. But okay. Anecdote unrelated. Property. Right after I bought this property, I was out there just on my little riding lawnmower, riding around in the woods and mowing the grass that was overgrown on some of the walking trails that I've got. And then, I had a little trailer behind me with some tools. I'd get out, run the chainsaw, machete and stuff, clear the path. And, I was just grinning like an idiot and laughing and singing that Monster Magnet song, driving the tractor on the drug farm out loud because I don't have any neighbors to be aggravated by it. And then just a couple days ago, and this is the bit that I told, I think Monday, when I was on without you, I was out there on the tractor, grinning like an idiot, having a ball, running a brush hog and cutting down trees and moving stuff with the grapple. And operating this piece of equipment and grinning like an idiot and happy. And I thought to myself, there are people who get paid to do this. Maybe I should have done this for a living when I was younger. And then it occurred to me, I own this tractor and this property. Every time I do something with the tractor to improve the property, the value of the property, I am getting paid for this shit.
Well, I don't have that, but I have a nice garden. I'll take some photos of my gardening work. Okay.
Yeah, I've seen some of that.
Maybe we can post that on the show.
Yeah,
it's quite impressive.
I would definitely share that on the show. That'd be great.
Yep.
So, where'd it go? I had an article pulled up that. Oh, here we go. Fact check. Okay. Patrick just sent this over to us in the infamous thread.
He did. Thank you, Patrick.
Fact check: is the U.S. using planes for deportations to throw people into the ocean? Deportation flights have drawn fierce criticism and outlandish theories. Since taking office again in January, Trump's administration has deported thousands on flights to countries in Latin America. Okay, let me back up because we got off track for a minute. We were talking about it. Mario pointed out the problem with human trafficking and how they dump bodies in the ocean, and they absolutely do. That's a big problem. On this idea that people are that we're just dumping up immigrants in the ocean, there's a couple of stories that they're kind of illegitimately conflating. One, bodies washing up on the shore in Spain, and two, the flight that never arrived in South Sudan and then came back without anybody in it. And what happened there is the immigrant flight was sent to South Sudan because Venezuelans and a few other countries will not accept back the hostile foreign invaders that they sent here, which is an act of war, by the way. And so South Sudan is one of the sites that we're using for third party, basically a dump for, yes, this human trash. There was a court order that they said that Trump was in violation of the court order and he couldn't land them in South Sudan. So they dropped them at a U.S. military facility in Djibouti. So they took these immigrants that were bound for South Sudan, put them in a detention center in Djibouti, and then
where I should add for the audience who doesn't know, we have a large military base, large military buildup there. Okay.
Yes, because pirates.
Yep.
That was one of the contracts that I really wanted to take right after I got out.
Tourism. Oh, dude, the place fucking stinks. I've known lots of soldiers who've been there. Okay, it's a bad place. It's fucking eerie. All right.
Yeah, it's it can't stink worse than Kandahar. The average soldier that served a year in Afghanistan has breathed in 1.6 liters of aerosolized human feces because of the open air poo ponds that they dump the porta potties into.
Fuck.
Yeah.
And then it dries up in summer. Oh Jesus.
Oh, it's awful.
Awful. God.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just you're just walking around just
breathe it in. Yeah. That's bad for you. Why don't they?
Man, after our show on micro homes yesterday, Mario, I went and shot some small apartments in that area of town, and these were the kind of place. There were no lights on in the building. It wasn't just that the water was off, but like the toilets were dry with feces encrusted paper stuck to the inside of them. And there was so much pot being smoked in the building that you could not just smell it, you could feel the oil on your skin walking in. I actually keep a toothbrush and paste and a bottle of mouthwash in the truck because when I have to shoot those places, just immediately you walk in. I mean, it's one thing to smell the acrid, sticky tang of marijuana being smoked, but there are levels of it that are just unconscionable.
Yeah, I don't understand how people do that and expect to sell the home. Like, are they like you would have to sell it to another black person who lived the same way. Like, that's the only way. I mean,
correct.
Yeah, that shit gets in the paint. That's like Indians basically permeating the paint with the smell of their cooking. You know what I mean? To the point where the home is unsaleable. All right, it's like you had a cat that was just pissing in the attic for fucking years. All right, and the whole house stinks like cat piss, and there's nothing.
I've shot those too.
Yeah,
I've shot those too. In fact, one of the first houses I ever shot doing the real estate photography, the homeowner had passed away, and the cats were locked up in the house. The dozens of cats had been locked up in the house for several days before they found the remains.
Oh yeah,
and
that's grim.
It's
grim.
Yeah, I commented on the photography from that one. I said, I'm sorry, guys. You can see in these images the smell of the cats.
Yeah, yeah. You go in there with a proper respirator, not some N95 mask. Okay,
correct.
Like a proper respirator, like you're doing fiberglass work. Okay,
and you remove the carpets,
and you rip out
the
all
drywall,
the carpets,
the ceiling,
the furniture,
everything.
Yeah,
yeah. You fillet it down to the skeleton and reflesh the entire building.
Crack house or meth houses are the same. That smell is also permanent in the paint. So,
dude, with meth houses,
meth houses, you got holes in the wall. You got holes in the wall everywhere. Yeah.
The correct solution to a meth house is a 1 mile safety cordon and a 40 mic. That is the correct solution to a meth house. Dude, we found IED manufacturing houses in Afghanistan, and we found meth houses in Afghanistan, and we would blow them up.
Yeah.
Places where they're building...
Meth house blows up more, yeah.
Yeah, places where they're building bombs for use in guerrilla warfare do not explode as dramatically and dangerously and unpredictably as meth labs. Meth labs are
yeah.
If you've never lit a meth lab on fire recreationally, I highly recommend it. But take precautions. It's
just like a...
It's some of the most fun you can have in an afternoon.
It's like a house full of frozen turkeys all simultaneously being dropped into a turkey fryer.
Yeah. Exactly. So, since taking office in January, Donald Trump's administration has deported thousands on flights to countries in Latin America. According to data from witnesses at the border, more than 600 deportation flights have taken off since Trump's order earlier this year. The sheer number of arrests in America and the increased aggressive tactics by immigration and customs enforcement have sparked outrage among Americans and others. This statement is false. It has sparked outrage amongst Democrats and others. Democrats, the further left the Democrat Party drifts, the more I am ready to say that they have essentially begun to drift into that same category as described in Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, Section F. They are members of the Communist Party in all but name, right? So, and they should be treated as such. They're not people. They don't have human rights. That's who has been critical of the deportation, and they've been critical of the deportations because they're afraid they're going to lose their free electoral college votes.
Yeah, I got a question for the. I'm not on X, of course, but I got a question for the Twitterati out there. Has AOC actually mentioned this story yet? Because AOC is kind of actually like the bellwether for like crazy leftist.
Oh, you know what? I haven't checked.
If you get AOC to retweet it, then that generally means then you made it. Okay, now you're now you got it to the mainstream.
Let's see if since the one vote will change anything. I don't see her. Okay. No, she's just crying about the big beautiful bill. Medicaid cuts. You know, all the Medicaid cuts they're talking about are illegals being thrown off of Medicaid.
Yes, I do. I know. And the Senate parliamentarian.
Okay, so no. Sure, no. AOC has not made the claims.
Let's take 1 minute here. I literally all I need is 30 seconds. All right, for big beautiful bill right now. Okay, this is what you do. John Thune, or Thune, okay, Senate Majority Leader, you fire the parliamentarian. Okay, first of all, the House should reject the Senate's version of the bill, and that already happened. Like
I was about to say they
did.
They did that last night.
That just happened. Okay, now Thune, Senate Majority Leader, must fire the Senate parliamentarian. Okay, and replace her with someone else if you even need to replace that position. Okay, and then the House can resubmit the original bill with some minor carve-outs for the least abusive things. That, like Lisa Murkowski wants free money for something. Fine, bitch. Here's your fucking free money. I hope you die. Okay. I hope you die a painful fucking death of like undiagnosed 4th-degree cancer. You fucking wicked monster. Same with you, Susan Collins. Okay. Fine. Here's your freaking money. All right. And then.
Yeah. By the way. Your Murkowski's, your Collins making demands. Hey, I want this carve out. I want that carve out. I want this carve out. You know, if you would just
selfish piece of shit.
Well, not just that. If you would just say no.
Well, she always gets it. She always gets her money.
No. Well, yeah. But here's the thing. If you would just tell those bitches no, then you wouldn't be spending so much money, and then you wouldn't have Massey and Tillis and Paul holding out. If you would tell them, Massey and Massey and Paul. No, Tillis and Paul. Massey's rep. Anyway, if you would just tell these fake ass pseudo Republicans, they're Democrats. They're not Republicans in name.
There's an entire generation of them.
Yes. And if you would just tell them no, you can't have your bullshit carve out, then you get the libertarians off the fence to vote for, shoring up the national security, clearing out the NFA garbage. But instead of working to get the principal vote from your Rand Pauls and guys like that, you prefer to go and bribe the corrupt garbage guttercrats like Murkowski and Collins. Fuck those whores.
Yep.
I'm sorry, that's not what we're talking about this morning.
I know.
It got broken last night. They're going to try it again. And there's a lot in the big beautiful bill that I like, but the big beautiful bill is itself an omnibus, and I hate omnibuses.
Yeah.
If I had my way, every bill would be one page, one action item, without exception. One page, one action item, read publicly, and then voted on.
But yes, the big beautiful bill. Most of the criticism against it, okay, is mostly to do with basically the fiscal, the financials of it, okay. But may I offer that, those birds flew a long fucking time ago. All right, it's not coming back. The debt's never going to be paid. It will never be dealt with. Okay, that is permanent. So if we're going to be running to the printer anyway and making printer go burr, okay, you might as well make printer go burr and pay for some things that actually are good for America. Okay, so that's the way I see it. I'm already entering that debate from a defeated standpoint. I give up. I give up with the whole fiscal conservative thing. It's never going to happen. It is not going to happen. You are not going to tell people who have their hand, basically who have their hand at the cookie jar and can basically flip a switch to refill the cookie jar at will. You're not going to tell them to stop eating the cookies. Okay, they won't. They would have to decide for themselves to not do that. And with the kleptocracy that you have, the permanent kleptocracy, the Mitch McConnells, Murkowskis, the Collins, okay, even John Thune himself. Let's be honest. I mean, how much Palantir money does that guy take? You're not going to stop it. You might as well direct the beast in a good direction, because you cannot stop Leviathan.
Thune hasn't fired the parliamentarian. You don't need to know anything else about him.
Coward. Then you're a coward.
Yeah. And we talked about her in a little more detail the other day. Understand this chick, she's McDonough, I think her name is. She's been the Senate parliamentarian since 2012. Y'all, the parliamentarian is a position that was created in the 1930s. Right? This is some corrupt FDR level shit. Right? Since then, there have been the position has been filled 8 times by 6 people. It's a position that is held in perpetuity until somebody is essentially just quits or dies. It's an appointed position. It's a political appointee. The current Senate parliamentarian was appointed by Barack Obama and is single-handedly responsible for essentially pushing Obamacare through the reconciliation process and through the Supreme Court arguments about the constitutionality of levying a punitive tax on citizens for refusal to engage in an affirmative activity.
So that means from the time of her appointment, the Senate, the Republicans have had the Senate majority for 3 times, okay, and all 3 times, nobody ever looked at this time bomb, this UXO sitting in the corner, okay, of the Senate, and no one disarmed it. Just leave it. Yeah. Fuck you. Fuck you. You don't care. I don't care. How about that?
Yeah, essentially it looks like every Republican that's held an office in the Senate, at least since 2012, has chosen to leave her in place so that they can use her as a scapegoat when what they really want to do is they want to let the Democrats have their way.
I think you nailed it. I think that's exactly what it is. It's an excuse. Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right, because we're way off.
Of them, yeah, we are. Okay, helicopter rides. Sudan, South Sudan. Man, imagine getting deported to South Sudan. That's like concentrated Africa. Okay, that's like the gods must be crazy tier Africa.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's not house coffee. That's field coffee.
That's like Africa Adio level Africa. Okay. That is sheer madness. That's like
you got the 5-gallon church urn, and you just opened up the can of Folgers and dumped it in, no filter.
Yeah, that's like
no
RPGs.
You didn't count. No, you just dump it in, hit go.
That's like using RPGs for CQB while wearing magical talismans that make you bulletproof. Okay, that's crazy Africa. That's
Remember when we used to go to the slam poetry at East Village Cafe in Monterey? There was this little black professor that would show up and do this very rhythmic African type poetry. He was Sudanese.
Okay.
And he had this son of a bitch wore they were clearly made by a very competent, skilled cobbler. This guy left Sudan and became wealthy in America, and he always wore a very nice tailored suit and custom leopard skin dress shoes. That were just
he's looking.
I mean, the man's walking around in a war crime.
So he's looking like a villain from like a 1970s Shaft film. Okay, he's looking big balls, looking like Kananga from James Bond, living like die.
Doing slam poetry in a little cafe in Monterey, California.
That's right. When he walks down the street, he's got his own little New Orleans brass band as his retinue.
Mario, the world that you and I have traveled, we could probably do a whole one of our specials just on cartoon characters that we've encountered in the world. Just brushing brushing elbows with some mafia here and there, a little vampire cult, some I'll tell you about that time that I met a general in the Afghan National Army who was telling me about how, oh yeah, I've been in the army here in Afghanistan for the last 27 years. I'm like, so you were in the Taliban. Is what you're saying, is that you were Taliban until we deposed them.
Yeah, you ever blow up a T-62? You ever shoot down a Hind attack helicopter? Yeah,
exactly.
Wow. It's pretty cool.
In fact, 27. I had that conversation with that guy in 2010. 27 years. You were Mujahideen and then Taliban, and now you're Afghan National. You just like shooting. You just like shooting people. I get it though. I get it. I mean, I've tried. It's.
Yeah.
Like,
if Afghanistan gave out service stripes, that shit would be like all the way up to your fucking armpit, dude.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you climb my service stripes and kiss my ass.
Kiss my mustache.
But hey, you know what? I get it. Like I tell my son, smoking. It's like, killing people. It's like sex, drugs, rock and roll, smoking, any of that stuff. You should never do it. You won't ever want to stop. It is what it is. Don't give not into temptation, because it will keep giving back into you. All right, Mario, I gotta go ahead and wrap up and get rolling. You got anything else you want to tag?
Well, I was going to say at the end of this article, to bring it in, okay, they're also talking about shackled bodies found on the shores of Mexico, America, and nearby islands in the Gulf. That's 100% cartel activity. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And also, if you were going to like dump bodies in the Atlantic Ocean, okay, like helicopter ride them, you should be dumping them in like the Sargasso Sea, okay, where you have that huge mass of basically seaweed. All right. If you dump them in there, they'll never be found. Plus, it would provide like a feeding ground for like plankton and other microfauna. All right, in the ocean, it would be a good thing. So Sargasso Sea.
Drop them on the Pacific trash heap.
You could do that. You could do that as well, but I mean, that would be displacing. You'd be displacing the garbage potentially. With a large enough load of illegals, you could end up sending, like trash blooms, okay, to the coasts of Pacific Island countries. We don't want that.
Yep.
Unless they're all going back to Asia, which is where all that fucking trash came from. Asia. Yes.
Yeah.
You did that.
Yes.
You're filthy. You're disgusting. You dump your garbage into the ocean, and then you. Yeah, I disgusting practice. Like not my problem. Not my problem, right. Huh? Yeah.
So everybody that's watching right now, y'all, hey, share the show. Share it everywhere you can. Tell people about the show. I want to see more people in the live chat, and actually, I need to see more people in the live chat. I need at least 5 or 6 more unique chatters. Now we're only on day 3 of the new requirement. I think we're going to be fine, but definitely share the show. Tell people where to watch us. It's the Brushfire Mind. We are on all platforms, but I want people to watch us on Rumble. And make sure you tune in on Saturday nights at 2100 for the get behind the paywall and watch the live and let's be real, less censored show, because we're pretty uncensored on the daily. But come check out the specials on Saturday nights. We work hard to make those happen for you. And I want to say thank you guys for watching today. We love you. And
Can I close with one final comment?
Tomorrow.
I think Patrick is asking, what if we send all the illegals to Guam, but only house them on one side of the island and see how long it takes to do the needful? What if
to do the needful?
All right.
Oh.
I'm done.
Oh.
I was catty this morning. I'm sorry.
While Hank Johnson, I believe, is still in the house, he is no longer my representative, and that was worth the price of admission to buy this property to begin with.
Yeah.
Y'all be safe out there, guys.
When your 14-year-old daughter has more wisdom than a grown-ass man who's supposed to represent you, that's a problem.
Yeah, and there are way more people out there in that boat than is healthy for this country.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, guys, be safe.
Ciao.
There it is. There it is.
Africa addio.